And if you're just joining us, this is our continuing coverage of the Joe Biden inauguration day. President Donald Trump left the White House for the final time as the President of America. Joe Biden, meanwhile, attended the church service at the St. Matthew's Church. Biden will be the second Catholic president of the U.S. after John F. Kennedy. Just hours to go for the presidential inauguration. President-elect Joe Biden and Vice-President-Elect Kamala Harris will be sworn in at a scaled-back ceremony at the U.S. Capitol. At 78, Biden will be the oldest president to take oath. On the other hand, Harris will make history as the first female U.S. vice president. Washington, D.C. and states across the country on high alert over fears of possible new threats today. And our correspondent Simon Marks is joining us for more on the latest coming in from on the ground. Hi, Simon. Joe Biden calling it a new day for America. What an election it's been. The anticipation and the hope in the air is, of course, overwhelming. And the stories that we have been tracking over the last few hours, giving us a sense of the expectation of what lies ahead. Your assessment of what the next few hours will mean for America?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Molly, to focus on expectations management because, you know, certainly among critics of President Donald Trump, there was such a palpable sense of relief and indeed celebration on social media after Air Force One departed Andrews Air Force Base and started conveying the president and the First Lady to Florida, accompanied as they were by the nuclear football, because remember, he is still president of the United States for about another 85 minutes before Joe Biden succeeds him on this extraordinary inauguration day, with the Trumps eschewing all tradition here in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump becoming the first president in over a century not to stick around and attend his successor's inauguration. Donald Trump riffing when he made his farewell speech at Andrews Air Force Base. He threw away the prepared text where he was expected to congratulate Joe Biden by name and wish him well. In the event, he simply said that he hoped that the next administration would enjoy success. He didn't offer Joe Biden any kind of name check. And now this sort of sense here that power ebbing away from the Trumps and hewing in Joe Biden's direction. And the real symbol of that, the presence at St. Matthew's Cathedral here in Washington, not just of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their families, but of the Republican leadership in Congress. Senator Mitch McConnell, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, the party's leaders on Capitol Hill. They didn't go to Andrews Air Force Base to bid President Trump farewell. They are at St. Matthew's Cathedral joining that mass. All eyes now on Capitol Hill, to where Joe Biden will be heading shortly, and then we wait to hear his inaugural address after he takes the oath of office. He is expected to call for healing, for unity. He's going to pledge to lead the country in the interests of all of its people. But as we know, the expectations that accompany his arrival in office are absolutely outmatched by the scale of the COVID-19, economic and now national security crises that he is going to have to contend with, given the violence that we saw in this city just 2 weeks ago.
Indeed. Stay with me, Simon. According to Trump's deputy press secretary, the president has left a note for his successor, Joe Biden. The contents of this note not known as of now. Further details, of course, will emerge. One of the modern inauguration day traditions for presidents leaving office is, of course, to write their successors a letter offering best wishes and advice. This is usually left on the Resolute desk to be read when the new president first enters the Oval Office. Simon Marks has been with us. Simon, of course, Joe Biden has left behind, President Trump has left behind more than just a letter for Joe Biden. A number of challenges that lie ahead, among them, of course, dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. This is not any ordinary transition, given what we witnessed on the 6th of January as well. The message that Joe Biden has for the country is to heal and togetherness, building America better.
Yeah, and Joe Biden, of course, is going to argue to the world that America is back. The difficulty with that message is that there will be many people around the world aware that the polarization in this country is leaving millions of Americans refusing to accept that Joe Biden legitimately won the election because they buy the lies that Donald Trump has been selling them. And in the cases of some of them, according to the FBI, still planning violent actions in a bid to try and halt the process that is underway here. We know that Joe Biden is going to get to work very quickly. 17 separate executive orders, proclamations and memoranda that he will be signing as soon as he gets into the Oval Office. He's going to take the country immediately back into the Paris Climate Change Accords. He's going to terminate the suspension of America's membership of the World Health Organization that was orchestrated by President Donald Trump. He's going to lift the ban on travel from countries with predominantly Muslim populations that was signed into law very early in the Trump presidency. He's going to take aggressive executive action to roll back what the Democrats see as some of the excesses of the Trump administration. But that is just the start. And the real proof of the pudding is going to be in the ability of Joe Biden over the next few weeks to establish a working relationship with Republicans in Congress. He's going to need help from them, particularly fighting COVID-19 and getting the economy back onto some semblance of a sure footing. These are massive, massive challenges, and managing the expectations that exist among Democrats about what his administration is going to be able to achieve is going to be a full-time job in and of itself.
Indeed, and as far as his foreign policy vision is concerned, indications, of course, coming in already through those statements that we have been getting for our viewers, Simon. There will be additional pressure for Joe Biden to increase the scrutiny over China and also to balance out the relationship as far as the U.S.-China trade friction is concerned.
Yeah, no question about that. And of course, Joe Biden was left a slightly changed position just in the last few hours, because on his final day in office, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo formally branded China a country engaged in genocide against the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Now, Joe Biden himself previously had argued that what was taking place in China was a genocide, but we saw testimony from the man who hopes to be America's next Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, and the man who hopes to be America's next Defense Secretary, General Lloyd Austin, indicating that there is going to be no immediate let-up in the hardline policies that the Trump administration has implemented towards China. No indication that any kind of dilution of those policies is planned, at least over the first several months of the Biden administration. So the chill in that relationship, with everything that it means for the region and all of China's neighbors, India included, is very much part of the furniture here now in Washington and part of Donald Trump's legacy bequeathed to Joe Biden.
Right, and Simon, let's also talk about the farewell address that Donald Trump delivered just a short while back. A lot of takeaways, like we've been discussing, this is no ordinary transition, a lot of exceptions here. The primary one, of course, that Trump is not going to be attending the inauguration ceremony itself. But that farewell address was so much about the Trump administration's achievements once again, and not so much about what lies ahead, especially wishing Joe Biden all the very best.
Well, to the extent that Donald Trump talked about the future, he insisted that he and his staff had built the foundations for the incoming administration to succeed. And of course, he pointed to the elements of his last 4 years in office that he believes are signature achievements, the economic prosperity that the country was enjoying pre-COVID-19, the economic recovery that he says the country is now beginning to witness, the changed situation with regards to the Middle East and the peace agreements that were signed by Israel with several countries in the region.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.